The next speaker will be Erik Wientjes on geothermal energy.
All right, so talk about geothermal energy and kind of the methods they use to convert that to electric power. So what geothermal energy is basically just the heat that's found from the earth that is found in the rocks and like fluids within the earth. And those fluids are usually found in geothermal reservoirs. That heat, it comes from primarily two things. It actually comes equally from these two sources. It comes from the decay of uranium and thorium isotopes, and then it just comes from the initial heat of formation from the earth from when it was cool and being formed. This is kind of just like the very basic layout of what a geothermal power plant looks like. I really just want to put that there so you can see that these geothermal reservoirs have to be deep in the crust to where they're close to the mantle so they can actually be heated. And there's really not very many locations that can have a geothermal reservoir because it has to have fluid going into them. But I'll talk about that a little more. So this is kind of the forefather of geothermal power generation, Prince Piero Gennaro Conti. He basically used a Rankine cycle to make a geothermal power plant in the early 19th or the early 20th century. And he initially was only able to power 4 light bulbs, but he was inevitably able to make the world's first geothermal power plant in 1916. And it wasn't a massive plant, but it was able to power the outskirts of a small village in Italy and some surrounding properties and cities. So globally, the US is actually the leader in geothermal production, or geothermal electronic production or whatever. And even then, it's still a really small percentage of our total energy production at less than 0.5%. But there's a lot of room for growth in the US and other countries, as you can see. I mean, Indonesia has a potential operating capacity of 29,000 megawatts. And really all the countries that have these potential operating capacities are in more mountainous regions or near a lot of tectonic plate activity. And some of them can even be fully sustainable in geothermal energy. So there's 3 different types of reservoir types. And the first one is a liquid-dominated reservoir. These are usually a lower temperature reservoir, and basically the working fluid that they pump out of these reservoirs is a mixture of steam and liquid. And they have different types of plants for these, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But usually these are found in volcanic islands in the Pacific. A lot of them are found in the continental US. And at lower temperatures, they need to be pumped out because the vapor isn't high enough pressure to be pressurized out of it. The next kind is vapor-dominated reservoir. That's what Prince Conti used for his, and that's why he was able to do it, because he just got pure superheated steam coming out, which is really ideal if you're trying to just make a really simple Rankine cycle. These are obviously hotter reservoirs, but really the main difference between the liquid and vapor reservoirs right there isn't necessarily the temperature. It's kind of the ability to get it out in that certain form. So kind of, I guess, maybe the distance between the reservoir and the actual surface of the earth. And then the third type is enhanced geothermal systems. These are artificial reservoirs, and they're basically found in areas where you don't have the naturally made reservoirs. And the way they make these is they just continuously inject cold water into what's called hot dry rock. It's really just a crystalline granite. They keep pumping it in there until it fractures and makes its own reservoir. The geothermal industry calls this hydro shearing. It's really fracking, and they're just, I guess, trying to be more politically friendly saying that. But the thing about that is you can pretty much do it anywhere on Earth. It's very common to find hot dry rock. So there's 3 different types of power plants. You have dry steam plants, flash steam plants, and binary cycle plants. Dry steam plant, pretty simple, just a Rankine cycle. Flash steam plant is it's really similar to the Rankine cycle, and there's a couple different types of it. And then the binary plant is kind of the newer type, and that has I'm about to go into these a little more. So basically, a dry steam plant, as I said, it's just a Rankine cycle. So you have the superheated steam being pumped out of the ground through the production well, and then that just goes into a steam turbine, and then it's condensed and goes and is injected back into the well. That basically runs on, like, if I had a TS diagram, I'll be identical to the Rankine cycle diagram, just probably not completely isotropic. And these are usually found in VDRs or vapor-dominated reservoirs, just because you get that pure superheated steam coming out of the ground. The next, and this is the most common type of plant, is a flash steam power plant. This diagram is a single flash steam plant, and really the only difference between this and the previous one is that you have this steam separator. And the reason you need that is because the working fluid is coming out of the ground in the form of a vapor water or a vapor liquid mixture. So you have to separate the vapor and then pump the liquid back into the ground. And this is the TS diagram. I think it's kind of interesting. It basically behaves and kind of performs like a Rankine cycle, but really it starts right here, and then your condensed fluid coming out of the steam evaporator or steam separator will go down this line, and then the basically the Rankine cycle starts right there, and that's kind of just how the I guess the thermodynamics of this type of power plant work. A double flash power plant really only features a second steam separator for lower and higher pressures. A binary power plant is the final kind I'll talk about. It's kind of the most modern, and basically the reason it's the most modern, you can use it in a lower geothermal reservoir, so it opens up a lot of doors to other systems or like other environments where you can have a liquid or a vapor dominated reservoir. They use organic working fluids, so this is a little bit safer for the environment than using the brine and geothermal fluids that come out of the ground, because a lot of these reservoir fluids contain carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, all those things that have listed right there. Really, there's two really popular types of these, and this is kind of the top cycle, because you see how it goes through the heat exchanger, and basically the heat exchanger powers a Rankine cycle. So in that Rankine cycle, what they'll use are some closed cycles, and one type they use is an organic Rankine cycle. And basically the organic Rankine cycle is really the same thing as just a basic Rankine cycle, except for it uses a regenerator to improve some of the efficiency of the cycle itself. And then the last type I'm going to talk about is the Kalina cycle. And a Kalina cycle is the newest kind. It's supposedly about 10 to 50% more efficient than the Rankine cycle, and uses ammonia and water as a working fluid. And one of the main advantages to this is that you get a range of boiling and condensation temperatures. So I think it's a little bit more applicable to other systems, even more applicable than just a regular basic binary system. It's actually, the guy who invented it lost his patent a few years ago, so someone else patented his name, and he had to come up with a new system that's not even in commercial use now. Overall, I think it's a pretty good geothermal energy production. I think it's a pretty good thing. It's renewable. The Earth's never going to run out of geothermal energy, and it's good for the environment. But at the end of the day, it does have its disadvantages, and there's a lot of reasons why it probably won't. It might not grow. You're going to have to see what happens, really. Basically, liquid-dominated reservoirs and DPRs are only available in certain regions, like I was saying. And to go for this industry to grow, they might require fracking. So that's pretty much it. This is my references. Questions?
How can I control the power of the system?
I'm sorry, what?
How can I control the power of the
How they control the power output? Well, I would imagine they have like flow control valves in a lot of them, so sometimes they can have less flow going into like.
Because since you don't have control, I don't know how they can put the pressure in the pressure.
You mean like in the reservoir itself?
Yeah.
Well, they have pumps, and I don't know how much control they actually have over that. I think it just depends on what type of reservoir it is. I think like some of the lower temperature reservoirs, they can pressurize a little bit more and get the fluid coming out the other end.
The power output is already fixed.
Yeah, I think the hotter ones would already be fixed just because it's so hot that it's already pressurized. But I mean, I imagine they could still pump more.
Yeah.
You could like pressurize a little more at the moment.
So they must be losing a lot of energy in this pump.
Yeah, it's not a very efficient. That's another disadvantage. It's just not that efficient. It's not. It gets like 10% efficiencies on the whole.
Overall.
Yeah, and the Kalina cycle is supposedly 50% improvements, but I don't know how much of it